The Bible is plagiarized. They kept out a lot of the stuff. In the modern day Bible, God is actually mistranslated as God singular, when in true reality, when you go to the back into the ancient text, it's really God's with an S. They took off the S to make it the monotheistic mindset. When you read the Enuma Elish and the Atrahasis epic, you realize that they copied all that ancient text and put it into Old Testament of the modern day Bible. It's all written in stone. These have been translated since the 1800s. So Cambridge and the British Museum have translations, and then UCLA did an amazing thing. There's over 1 million tablets that have now been, out there, and they've got hundreds of thousands translated. UCLA cataloged all the tablets digitally online and made an online tablet translator called a UCLA CDLI Cuneiform Digital Library. And you can go there and take a tablet off the shelf and drop it into a translator and read it for yourself. They're real tablets, and I've done lectures on this for the last, 4 or 5 years. These tablets are amazing because this is as close as we're going to get to the truth. And they're talking about beings living in other planets, coming to this planet, engaging mankind, teaching mankind about weapons, war, genetically modifying humans for the purpose of turning us into slaves to do a lot of the labor for them, and living on Mars. The most recent version is back around 6,000 to 7,000 years ago, which is why people who believe in the Bible believe the Earth is only 6,000 years old, because the story is copied from 6,000-year-old tablets. That's the beginning of the creation of the Earth, is in the Enuma Elish. That's actually the creation of our entire solar system is in there. The Earth is just a small part. According to the Book of Enoch, which is one of the apocryphal books left out of the Bible, but he's important because he's mentioned in the Bible, these beings came from heaven to earth, and then they have names. They taught human beings how to make weapons, how to even make beer and all this other crazy stuff. And then they took Enoch on a trip to the Earth's atmosphere and beyond, and he saw the Earth and the shape of the planet as a sphere, and he saw that he was living on a giant ball, and then brought him back. This is all in the Book of Enoch. The only Bible that has the Book of Enoch in it is the Ethiopian Bible. It's the only Bible in the world that actually incorporated the Book of Enoch into their canonized text. The rest of the Bibles omitted the Book of Enoch. The wars of these gods can be found in the Book of Deuteronomy. These are the Atlantean wars that everybody's trying to figure out what happened. It's in the Book of Deuteronomy in the Bible. All the wars are right there. The modern day Bible, anybody can go open their Bible and go, oh, Deuteronomy, let me read this. They don't read it, especially in Bible study. But the reason why is because you have God, which is actually gods, plural, going to war against other gods in other towns and cities and other regions of the planet, and sending human beings to these places to go to battle, and sending angels with them with battle gear on to fight and kill. And the words are, go there, get in, kill the women, kill the children, kill the animals if need be, and if you see any women that you like, you can rape them. These are the exact words used. I want you to get a Bible and look it up. And if you decide you rape them, if you decide you want to keep him as wife, you can take him, but bring the spoils of war back to me. This was these internal battles going on from one region of the world to another region of the world, stealing and fighting over humans and resources. These people have become so evil, fighting and utilizing human beings as chattel, and that's all in the Book of Enoch. These aren't exactly the stories that, described. I don't think it's talking about the creator of the universe in that book. When I started Googling and trying to find if anybody was looking at these anomalies, I came across information about the Anunnaki. That's the name of the beings that, according to the ancient texts, came from heaven to earth. In the Egyptian culture, they call them the Natiru, and they said they came to earth and turned mud into a kingdom. In the Bible, they call them the Anak. They have these names in all different cultures. They all show up around the same time in every culture, and I started finding more instances of them in every culture I looked into around the same time period. And I go, these people really came here at some point in the distant past. It seems to be now around 450,000 years ago they arrived, and about 200,000 years ago, according to the text, not me, they started genetically tinkering with human beings, saying they were adding their essence to them to get us to do the labor for them. So around 200,000 years ago, they started tinkering with us. And there's a famous cylinder scroll and with some text at the British Museum with Isis, the goddess Isis, who was one of the original Sumerian pantheon, not Egyptian, Sumerian. And she's holding up a baby, and she says, the first Adamu, which means first man, my hands have created it. And she claims to have taken this baby to term for 10 months in her own womb, to create the more modern version of Homo sapiens sapien. The Anunnaki, well, the term itself means those who came from heaven to earth. And these Anunnaki are beings that came from outside of earth to earth from many different places, potentially. But these Anunnaki, these are the original Atlantean people. They created an Atlantean civilization. How do I know this? The tablets, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which is my first book, is about the Emerald Tablets. It's a bestseller right now. It's #1 out of 3 million books on Amazon. Why? Because it's talking about the gentleman that ruled over the land of Chem before it was called Egypt for 14,000 years. He left behind these tablets that he authored himself. He didn't have a scribe write them. Back in the day, it was typical. If you were considered a god, you would have a scribe write your work. He wrote them himself. He talks about the Great Flood. He talks about civilization declining and having to be brought back to a high level. He talks about all this stuff in the Emerald Tablets. And he covers everything from A to B. He talks about having technology in the Emerald Tablets. He has a ship that doesn't sail in the ocean. It flies into the sky until the earth disappears, until he gets to a place appointed, and then it descends from the sky back down to the land. This is 36,000-year-old text. And what's interesting about this text, where Jesus is talking in the Bible, quoted as saying things in the New Testament of the Bible, I have side by side the verses from the Bible and the verses from both the Atlantean. Guess what? They're the same. But which came first, the chicken or the egg? One is 2,000 years old and the other one is 36,000 years old. A lot of the stuff in Egypt in the dynastic era was already there when dynastic era started. So a lot of the things that are really super megalithic and really old were there. They inherited those things. If you go to Mexico, where the Teotihuacan complex is located, which is a mirror of the Giza Plateau with the 3 pyramids aligning with Orion, the Pyramid of the Sun, Pyramid of the Moon, and so forth, those structures were there before the Mayans got there. And even the Mexicans will tell you that the Mayans inherited what was, they built nothing. They even teach that, nothing. They even teach that in the university. They built nothing. Matter of fact, the Mayans didn't know who built that stuff, so they named him Teotihuacan. That's where the name came from. But when you go to the ancient text, you find out who built it. Thoth the Atlantean, who ruled over the land of Kem, ancient Egypt, he left because he was battling with his brother, Marduk, in the Bible. But Marduk is also known to the Egyptians as Amun-Ra. This is why people say amen at the end of every prayer. He's the one who said, at the end of everything, giving thanks, you say my name. That's where amen comes from. He left because of battling with his brother, and he went to Mesoamerica, and he took Olmecs with him, and they kickstarted and built the Teotihuacan civilization. So the evidence is all there. It's all in tablets. Everywhere I go in Egypt, I'm famous because I'm saying the things that they want to say. We did a live podcast on the Nile, and the Egyptologist was there, and she said, we love Billy because he's saying the things that we can't say or we'll lose our jobs. And we believe everything he's saying. We know this for a fact. We grew up learning about this thing, the real truth about our history, but we can't speak it to the general population or we're in big trouble. But they've already adopted it. The Egyptologists, the homegrown ones, have already adopted this information. The foreign ones haven't. But the big problem with this information is that it's detrimental to the system and the status quo. It literally would break down religious systems overnight. You're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar system. A religious system collapse globally would definitely affect the global economy almost overnight. But that will go away because people realize the information that they have been brought up learning is actually severely inaccurate, and that the information is based on plagiarized tablets. And the real stories are in the tablets. A full, unedited, undoctored human, well, I'm going to change these words around here and there, that's not done in the tablets. The tablets is what it says. When you come to the Bible, all of a sudden you get to a lot of text like Jesus saying, honor your slave master as you would honor me. Do you think that this guy would really say something like that if he's all this light, and he's a light being, and he's all about love and salvation, and he's telling you now, no, you better obey that slave master? Come on, that's somebody, let me write this in there because it's going to benefit us when you write this in. We can tell the slaves, hey, you see what Jesus said? You better listen to Jesus. So this is a lot of twisting and turning. The Bible is a remix, is what it really is. And so all of a sudden you bring this real information, all this stuff collapses overnight. We're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar control system gone like that. That's why I love the tablets, because I know, I'm not saying they're 100% accurate, but they're as close as I can possibly get. I'm taking out all these other steps in between that have happened between Islam and Christianity and Buddhism and all these other religions that have taken from the same tablets. And now I'm getting as close as possible to the original source as I possibly can. I'm reducing some of the error, effect there. I think at this point now, they've conditioned us so much with movies and stuff like that, because we have this gene in us, this worship gene, which was inserted into the human genome. We know this now because scientists have actually found the worship gene. You can turn it on and they can turn it actually off. Yes, we have a worship gene. And so it makes us want to worship something outside of ourselves, when in true reality, we should find the power inside. And this was inserted by the Anunnaki. That's my hypothesis, I should say, on this one. But this gene has been found, but it's happened around 200,000 years ago. Now, something else happened around that same